Hello, everybody. Jay Real here with my buddy Brandon Dvorak. And I know that's not how you pronounce it, or someone in your family pronounces it
They
Dvorak.
pronounce it Dvorak.
Dvorak.
Yeah, I say Dvorak just because I don't know. That's the way it looks like it should be said. But if I was like a villain wrestler, I'd call myself Dvorak, and I'd pretend I was Russian or something.
But the intention for this show is to sort of hang out, kind of like what I do with my sister Kathy during those midday shows where we just sort of hang out, just talk about everything and anything. That's what we're going to do tonight. I definitely have some movies I've been watching to talk about, but we're going to just talk about whatever comes to mind. And anyone that might be watching us live, be sure to speak up and let me put the word out at the beginning. Because I looked at the last show we did where Dirk from Subjective Perspective Collective joined us. We talked about scary scenes from movies, shocking scenes, whatever. And that was a really good show. And it's like 75 views. Come on, guys. Help me get those views up. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please help spread the word. Tell folks about it. Share. If you got a page, share a link of a show we're doing, maybe to your page. And please hit that thumbs up. The last show has like 5 thumbs up, and it's got like 75 views. It should have 75 thumbs up. Come on. you know. And the views should be, I want to get those dead pit numbers. I want 1,000 views. We're not going to get that, I know. But come on. Help us get views, please. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please spread the word, because that influences me definitely in coming up with ideas for shows and doing more shows. If we're getting the views, if we're getting people that's actually watching what we're doing. So
You'll go
please,
ahead and like share it to like some groups or on social media, or if you know someone, you can instant message them or whatever.
there you go. Exactly. Yes, help spread the word, because I think what we're doing, we do a good show, and we try to think of some interesting subjects for you guys, and the stuff I do with Kathy. So yeah, let's get those views up, because I've been kind of, well, just I'm not I'm not discouraged, but I'm just, it's like, come on, we should be doing better than that. Please, let's help us get those views up, and hit that thumbs up. Please hit that thumbs up button if you're watching this, and if you're at all enjoying what you're seeing. Hit that thumbs up, because the algorithms, or whatever you call it on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean we're competing with like big media too, so it's like help the smaller channel out.
Yeah, these little homemade channels like what we're doing. Come on. I think some of our stuff is just as good, if not better, than some of the stuff that you see that are getting, 1 million views. So come on, hit that thumbs
Well,
up and help spread the word. I
I,
sure would
I'm not
appreciate.
I'm not gonna name names, but there's a podcast that they didn't even do their research and they thought Kim Hinkle was a woman. They're like, "Oh, Kim Hinkle, influential woman in horror." It's like just because her name is Kim doesn't make them a woman. You didn't even do that. Yeah, but I'm not picking on anybody. But it's like, damn, we know our shit.
Yeah, and this is July the 3rd, and tomorrow the United States will be 250 years old. And yeah, we had some rain earlier today, about an hour or so ago. We had pretty good rain here in Texas. It's supposed to be, I don't know where you're at in west. I think you're supposed to get more than we are, but in the morning it's supposed to be some rain. But it's supposed to start clearing off around 11 noon. So anyone that has plans to go watch fireworks or shoot off fireworks, things like that, it should be cleared off for that. But certainly want to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Hope you're going to have fun, and
Hmm.
be careful now.
Yeah,
Point,
it didn't.
point it away from yourself. When you shoot it off, whatever you're shooting off, don't.
One thing I learned about Texas is them rednecks. It could be like a tornado outside, and they still be Roman candles.
I tell you what we had as a kid. I don't know if you can still buy them, but it was uh, uh, oh, what did you call them? Oh shit! You lit them and it was a stick and you lit them and it pow.
Bottle rocket.
Bottle rockets.
Yeah, we
And
used
what
to
we
shoot
did,
those off too.
and what we would
And
do is have bottle rocket fights where we would
oh,
actually shoot
geez.
bottle rockets at each other, which is like dangerous as hell. I'm already half blind. It's a wonder I'm not fully blind having these damn bottle rocket fights. But you
Yeah,
literally get a bottle. You get a Coke bottle, old fashioned Coke bottle, and you put the stick in the Coke bottle and you light it, and then it would pop when it's in the air. Bottle rockets.
my
Yeah.
my dad, he always used to put beer bottles on them, so I guess it has to be glass. I don't know if you could do it with plastic, but what we would do is kind of messed up. But there were so many damn locusts that we'd like put grasshoppers on them, and
In time to the bottle rocket.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
But
feel bad about it now. But there are so damn many of them. I used to live out in the country. It's almost like Exorcist 2 would look.
but yeah, those were fun times. Bottle rockets, and black cat fireworks,
Ooh, I
firecrackers.
knew a kid who he put one in his hand. I don't know why he did it, but he put one in his hand and lit it, and it didn't blow his fingers off. But he ended up getting like he had to go to the doctor, and they had to put grafts or
Yeah.
something. And it's like, why would? And he roinked it for everybody. Then they're like, no, we can't have him now because whatever his name was popped it in his hand, and we're all pissed at his dumb ass.
Yeah, the bottle rockets, Roman candles.
What were
Uh,
those ones that looked like little bitty sticks of dynamite? We used to bury them in dirt and light them in
oh God, what was those? What damn? Did someone's watching? And what did we call them?
M80.
M80s.
I think it was. Those things were like, man, they had some power to them.
Uh, but yeah, the 4th of July and 2025, and they just passed Donald Trump's big beautiful bill. So this may be the last one we're celebrating. so we'll see.
Did you see how he said he was going to deport Elon Musk because they're fighting over something? Like, I'm not big on politics. I don't know all the details, but apparently they're beefing. He's like, might have to deport Elon. Send
Yeah.
him.
Well, I've been kind of concerned, and me and my sister are both on disability. I'm on a different kind of disability than she is, but I'm on SSI disability, and Medicaid is my insurance, life is my health insurance. So yeah, I'm a little worried, But from what I'm saying, mainly they're after people that are trying to, you're trying to,
Yeah,
get coverage they're not supposed to, that kind of stuff.
it definitely helps. When I was younger, I was on Medicaid because we're low income, and of course, when I fell on hard times, I know food stamps definitely helped out. So I know like there's people that talk bad about food stamps. It's like most people I know who are on it like work two jobs.
I get,
So groceries are hard.
I get like $90 a month, what they call SNAP. You know,
Yeah,
it definitely helps. Everything helps, but yeah, a little concerned, but hopefully things will work out. So yeah,
I hope so too. Because even with like Social Security, if they like, what are people gonna do? Because there are certain people that they just can't. They're like they're elderly. They can't work. Like what. That's what I'm worried about. I don't know why they like we got to give tax cuts to the billionaires like they need it.
yeah,
Jeff
exactly.
Bezos is going to be fine if he has to pay a little more in taxes. I'm sure instead of 3 yachts, he might have two. Oh, big whoop.
Yeah, and I don't understand politics, so I don't talk politics. I don't understand it, but just I'm concerned, but I'm not worried really. I'm a little concerned, but
Yeah,
I think things seem to work out the way they're supposed to,
I
and
seen
hopefully that's what will happen.
when I was watching the news, it was three things. It was either that big beautiful bill, P Diddy trial, or the Liver King trying to kill Joe Rogan. I don't know if you heard about that, but that's been a big deal in Texas. He went to Austin looking for Joe Rogan.
I didn't hear
So
about that. Now,
Yeah, he's a crazy man that's on
He
steroids.
was convicted of 2 counts, but he wasn't convicted on the trafficking. He wasn't convicted on that. Um, but he's still in jail. They won't let him out. He wanted bail. They
No,
won't give him bail. uh,
well, he's a violent. They said due to him being a violent person, they don't want him out. But at the same time, it's like I'm surprised he didn't get the trafficking. 'Cause if you force someone to do something like that, you take them across state lines. Isn't that trafficking?
yeah. So he didn't get. He could get 20 years, I think, in altogether on what he's convicted of. But he could, or he could get like life in prison. But he can't get that now. He could get up to 20 years. So we'll see.
Well, what they did was, in a way, it was kind of smart. They're like, "Oh yeah, he did horrible things and he's a violent person, but he didn't do racketeering or whatever. Oh, he beat the hell out these people and made them do horrible things, but it's technically not this." And it's just like, I guess that's kind of what got him to beat that one charge.
There's that video of him beating up on his girlfriend or his wife
Yeah,
or his friend,
yeah, he beats. I think he beat her up and then drug her back to one of
kicked
those.
her. He's kicking her and shit.
Yeah, and it's just like that's kind of that should be trafficking because you're beating the hell out of her and you're making her go back in there to do God knows what.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's see, I thought that they said because they keep saying not guilty. I thought they meant that he was walking free like OJ or Casey Anthony or something.
Uh, no,
Nah.
he's still in jail, so we'll see what happens with him. And let's talk about a couple of folks that have passed away. I remember when I saw this movie for the first time. First, I became a big fan of Quentin Tarantino watching this movie, and just a big fan of this particular actor. When I saw him take out that straight razor and start singing that
Yeah.
song, what's the
Are
song?
you a fan? Stuck in the middle with you. He's like, are you a
Yeah,
fan of
stuck in the
K
middle with
Billy?
you. He's
Are
dancing
you a fan of
around.
K Billy Super Sounds of the what was it? Are you a fan of K
Yeah.
Billy Super Sounds of the '70s? And he turns it on the radio.
And there's a cop tied to a chair, and he's dancing around him with that
You know,
straight
he's
razor.
that was the rain. That was one of the main reasons I started buying cowboy boots and stuff too. Is because in Reservoir Dogs, when he pulls the knife out, he has like those cool looking cowboy boots, and I'm like, hell yeah, I need to get me a pair of them.
But anyway, Michael Madsen passed away. And of course, he's in a bunch of stuff, but
You know, he's
that's his signature role is in
he
Reservoir Dogs.
he was in a film that I saw that is real low. It might have been one of those made for TV things, but it's called Against All Hope, where he was an alcoholic, and he did such a good job in that of like portraying like an addict and trying to overcome his addiction. That's kind of what I think about when I think about him too. Is he's a really good actor, and he kind of had a cool voice too.
Yeah, he definitely could play heavies. He could play
Yeah, like a tough guy. Yeah,
tough guys and heavies and stuff. I like particularly like in Reservoir Dogs. But anyway, sorry to hear that he's passed on. And then I have sinned against you, my Lord.
it's funny because
And then here's the thing about here. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but here's the thing about Jimmy Swaggart. I thought that some bitch died like 10 years ago. When you sent me the message that he died, I'm like, really? He just died? I thought he was dead.
Hey, I notice every time we talk about religion, just like with the Passion of the Christ, how like my phone overheated and the internet went out. We're like Jimmy Swagger, blah, 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 it like froze. Come on. No, but my grandma, she had old vinyl records of Jimmy Swaggart and stuff, and I didn't know like who he was at first. I thought he was like some kind of singer. Then I put it on, and I was like, oh, this is like a televangelist or something.
Well, yeah, he was, like him and around the same time, it was him and
The
old
Baker.
Jim and Tammy Baker. And, really it was just a kind of a sideshow, you know. The
It's
stuff,
entertaining. I love watching them televangelists though, because like he's famous for like he's all red faced, right? When he was crying, that's Jimmy Swaggart.
well, here's the thing. And uh, it it was, I think, 1988. And, when, of course, these televangelists, they're always going to preach sins of the flesh and it's fire and brimstone, and well, speaking of sins of the flesh, old Jimmy Swaggart got together with a prostitute and got found out. And so going to YouTube, you can look up his "I'm sinned against you, my Lord," him crying, and the picture I put here on this show, the on this what we're doing
But
here.
I'm just always been entertained and fascinated by those kind of televangelist type people. Like it is entertaining if you have like a good one. My
Yeah,
favorite one was there's a guy named Ted Haggard who is really like against gay marriage, and then he got caught with a male prostitute doing meth.
well, it was like Ernest Ainsley. Uh,
Didn't Baker
uh,
go to prison? Didn't Jim Baker go to prison for like
Jim
tax?
Baker went to yeah, Jim Baker went to prison, and he just oh god yeah, um, and remember Peter Popov?
I don't know who that is.
Peter, I love this the name Peter Popov. uh,
Hmm.
but but yeah, Jimmy Swaggart. It was just a damn sideshow, and it's entertaining to watch him do his shit and
Well,
talk his talk.
well,
But it was all about fame and money, really. The Bakers and him, it was all about money. Just we need your money. Donate to the cause and all that. And he wasn't with just one prostitute. He was with several. He was with two or three of them. You know, he did the one thing with the prostitute in '88, and then like another couple of years later, he was found with another one. He couldn't. You know,
well,
uh,
I didn't know it, but I know like one of the local stations in Texas, if you have like the bunny ears or whatever, Donnie Swagger, I guess that's his son, so he took it over. But I didn't know they were related. I was like, oh shit. It just kind of pieced it in my mind. I did some googling, so he's not as entertaining as his dad was with being all like loud and shit. I like
yeah,
him like the fire and hell.
fire and brimstone.
My favorite guy, I'm drawing a blank on his. I think it's Pastor Manning. He's a televangelist, and he was talking about how the devil's going to come back and make people shoot flames out their assholes, and they're going to have to wear an asbestos diaper. There will be a flame coming from the asshole. You have to wear an asbestos diaper.
Uh, and in Waco, and you live near Waco, you live in West, but that's near Waco. Uh, there is a theater. I've been outside of the theater several times, but I've never been inside of the Waco Hippodrome Theater. Uh, and so, but you were there recently, and I don't know, you got arrested, had to do some community service and that kind of thing, didn't you? Uh,
I'm surprised we didn't, because good lord, I had a designated driver, but we were drunk, and it
So
was yeah.
tell your story about the and what it is. Well, let me now tell the people. The Waco Hippodrome. It's this old theater. It's like 100 years old, and it was refurbished about 10 years ago or so. And they've got a movie theater. It's got a stage for live bands and stuff.
Yeah,
You got
Crystal Gale's gonna be there, and
uh,
they had Randy Travis listed, but last time I checked, he couldn't speak, so I don't really know how that's gonna work. But
uh, but anyway, you got a bar. You'll speak on that. But anyway, tell your adventure at the Waco Hippodrome.
well, yeah, it was my birthday, and we were looking for a place to do karaoke and stuff, and we didn't even know the Hippodrome had a bar. It's so weird, like it's so many things all in one. I've been when I was a kid or whatever, but they show old movies and stuff, and they have a rooftop bar. And I did karaoke and drank. And before we did that, I went to this bar called True Love. There was nobody there. It was kind of sad, you know. It was like this. It was like this gay bar that had all these like flashy lights and stuff, but there was nobody there. And you know, when you're drunk, you don't really like kind of watch what you say. And I'm like, but it's their month. Where are they at? We can't do karaoke in front of nobody. And we just left, and I think the bartender got a little pissed. And then we went to this whiskey bar, tried some drinks there, and we were trying to find a UFC fight, but for some reason, the whiskey bar that had all the Baylor sports stuff didn't have the UFC pay per view. And then we heard some drunk people singing like way up there, and we're like, "What's that?" And they're like, "Oh, it's part of the Hippodrome." And we went inside and had a good time. And I walked around I don't know if I was supposed to, probably not, but I walked around the place just looking around, and it looks like the Phantom of the Opera or something. Like it's real old timey, and I want to go see some shows there. It's real cool looking.
I want to go someday, but let's make some plans where you come out here to Lake Mahia, pick me up, and I'll save my
Yeah,
I'll save my money up, help pay for gas. I'll pay for gas, and come get me, and let's go to the Hippodrome or do something like that. Go do something, you know.
yeah, dude. I like I said, I want to see a show there because it's so weird. It looks like I said, it looks like it'd be like for plays and stuff, but they have a screen for movies and shit too. But yeah, it has a bar there. Apparently, they have church services there too. And it's just a really weird building because when you go to the bar, it's on the rooftop, so you're like going through these weird little areas, and yeah, dude, it was crazy. It was a good time, man. I saw like two girls twerk on each other, and that was kind of cool. And yeah, it was nice. It was fun.
Well, yeah, let's make a plan to hang out sometime. You know, on some weekend or someday you're off, and like I say, I'll spring for the gas money, and you know, come out here and get
Hell
me.
yeah, yeah. We have to see a show or something because I'm just curious how it. I'm curious how it would work. Like, and I know it might sound in poor taste, but with Randy Travis, since he can't talk, like how's he going to do a show? Like, are they going to have other people do his songs, or
Or
I'm just kind of curious.
maybe he's going to lip sync his music or something.
No, he had a really bad stroke, and I don't know. It's like it'll be interesting to see. Crystal Gale's going to be there, and they
Man,
show old movies
and that'd be
too.
cool to go see like old movies and stuff like that. Um, I don't drink anymore, but I would have a drink or two just for shits and giggles. Uh, but yeah, let's kind of make plan to hang pick some day to hang out and do something like that.
Yeah, dude, the Hippodrome is dope, bro. And that rooftop bar is really cool too. And like that whole part of Waco it's like the clean Austin. You know what I'm saying? Like it has that vibe of like Austin, but it's not gross.
They got the Dr. Pepper Museum. Uh, Now I've been there. I went there with Kathy, the Dr. Pepper Museum, 4 or 5 years ago. Um, but yeah, there's some cool stuff to do in Waco. Um, but uh, but yeah, like I say, let's kind of make a plan to do that.
We'll plan something out, have a good time.
Yeah,
The karaoke, man, that was fun. I'm telling you. After you get brave
yeah,
after you have a couple beers.
um, but yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think before we there's not really a subject, because I don't watch movies a whole lot these days. I've got such a short attention span. It's kind of hard for me to just sit down and focus and watch a movie. But I have in the last week. To have things to talk about for the show, have nailed myself down and says I want to for like the last week, except for maybe a day or two. I have watched a movie a day or night. Usually it's at night when I'm going to watch a movie. Um, and it's been a mixture of stuff. I wanted to watch some old stuff, and then I'll watch some stuff that's more recent, and definitely the genres are all mixed up. There's horror movies, and there's just all kinds of stuff. But the first one, because I like to watch some old stuff, movies I haven't seen. And you gave me this damn link, Fiend Without a Face.
I love that movie.
And I've heard of that, but I had never seen it until then. And I said, okay, because I hooked up my new TV. It's been in the damn box for like a year. I finally broke it out of the box, hooked it up, got all my damn apps all, I got all the passwords in and everything. And it looks really good. The picture's really good. It's got really, it's 4K and all that. And so I went and pulled up on YouTube, Fiend Without a Face. Now, this is an old movie. I don't know, the 60s or something. Let me pull it up here. Hang on. What year that came out? It's an old black and white movie, and it's one I've heard of, but I've never seen it. Because I remember Rick Baker talking about it, that he really liked Fiend Without a Face. When it got to actually seeing the Fiends, he thought that was cool. I remember watching a YouTube video where Rick Baker talked about Fiend Without a Face. So, 1958. Okay. So, and it's a British, I guess you call it a science fiction horror movie. And what's funny about Fiend Without a Face is you can tell it definitely is a low budget, and so they're saving their money for when you actually seen the so-called fiends, because most of the movie the fiend is invisible, so you have people whenever they're attacked by the fiends going ah, ah, so that didn't cost anything, just having your actors going ah, and it's some kind of scientist or something that's doing some sort of experiments on the brain. He wants to try to see if he can, create, advanced brains for telekinesis or something. He's doing some kind of experiments. And of course, any kind of mad scientist, the experiment is going to go bad. And he accidentally creates these fiends, which when you finally see them, they're brains, but they got like spinal columns, and they got a spinal columns is what
and they got snail. They got little snail things.
Yeah.
The movie didn't lie. They're fiends and they ain't got faces.
Because you don't see them, like I say, you just have people going, whenever they're attacked by them and strangled by them. But the last 15 minutes or so of the movie, you finally get to see them. They're finally revealed, and they're brains, with long tails, spinal column tails, and say little stalks, and they wrap around people's necks. There's a lot of stop motion animation in the movie that I like. And I found the movie to be kind of dull until the fiends show up. Then it got good, I thought. And it's pretty bad. I don't know if it's quite one of those so bad it's good movies. It's kind of in that area. It's not terrible, but it's really low budget, even for the time period, 58. But anyway, when you finally see the fiends, then it gets fun. I enjoyed it because I was kind of rolling my eyes and kind of going, because it's all, you never see the creatures until when you finally do get to see them. I was laughing and enjoying it. So, yeah. But anyway, and look it up if you haven't seen Fiend Without a Face. It's on YouTube. Look it up. I would recommend it for a fun, just something to put on in the background and just for something stupid to watch. Yeah, Fiend Without a Face. But you got a movie that you've seen recently or something you've seen recently you want to talk about?
Well, I've seen mostly a lot of the revisiting the old Hammer stuff. And I think it's Scars of Dracula that I watched on Tubi, and it's awfully convenient. I don't remember how convenient it was that Dracula died. They stabbed him with they didn't even stab him in the heart. They stabbed him in the stomach with a rod, and then out of nowhere, lightning strikes him, and he bursts into flames. I'm like, damn, that's awful convenient, Or then there's another one where he's fighting him, and he falls through the ground and lands in a church, and I'm like, yeah, that's convenient too.
Well, of course,
but that was
Christopher Lee, who was just the best Dracula.
Yeah, I love those movies, but like that's the one thing is kind of the ending on how they defeat him is always kind of I don't know, a little anticlimactic or climatic or kind of convenient. Except for in the horror of Dracula when Peter Cushing gets a two candle post and he melts and he's like, yeah, but that and I watched I think it was the Revenge of the Revenge of Frankenstein with Peter Cushing. So where that was an interesting one because he basically the monster he starts out looking like a human and he gets more kind of monstrous as it goes. So like there's a crippled guy and then Frankenstein puts his brain into a non-paralyzed body and then the dude goes crazy and the more he kills the more he starts kind of getting all hunched over and weird looking and stuff and I don't know there's fun little popcorn movies I guess comfort type films.
Yeah, and that was kind of my, starting out. My intention is to watch, like, particularly watch things that I had never seen before. And I would, I went to Tubi and was particularly looking for stuff with Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, and that wasn't necessarily the Dracula films, but just anything that they were in, either individually or together. And man, during the late '60s and early '70s, Peter Cushing was in everything. you
He was
know,
Sherlock Holmes too, wasn't he?
yeah, he was in everything. Peter Cushing. He was, if it was a horror movie in the early '70s, late '60s, early '70s, it likely had Peter Cushing was in it, and a lot of times it had Christopher Lee was in it too. Even the non Dracula stuff. Uh, and But anyway, you go to Tubi and just search Peter Cushing, and you're going to find a ton of stuff. And I wanted to watch stuff that I'd never seen before. And this is another one I've heard of, but I've never seen it with Peter Cushing. Doctor Terror's House of Horrors, and it's a anthology. That's another thing I've been wanting to watch. It's like old anthology films, like Creep Show, in Cat's Eye, that kind of stuff. But the older stuff, and so hang on to help me remember because my brain is kind of jumbled up watching all this stuff. Doctor Terror's House of Horrors, but hang on. It's on Tubi, and you got this five men are on a train, and there's this weird guy on there that calls himself Dr. Shrek. He's the actual Dr. Shrek, and he's actually the Dr. Terror of the movie, and it's Peter Cushing. And let's see, what year did this come out? So 65. And he's got tarot cards, and he's sitting at a table with these five men, and he's like, okay, I'm going to predict your future. And everybody has got a death card. Here he holds up a card. Everyone's got a death card. It's like, oh, well, that's not going to look good for you, I guess. But he tells a story for every guy about what's going to happen to him. And that's going to be the individual stories that you see in Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. The first one's about a werewolf, and it's fun. It could, like I say, this is, like you said, a comfort film. It's not the best special effects. It's a little silly, but it's fun. And where there's the people that are searching for a werewolf, this guy, he melts some silver into bullets. He's going to shoot the werewolf. And it's got a cool twist ending, that story, the werewolf story. I'm not going to spoil that, but go to Tubi, search Dr. Terror's House of Horrors.
I need to check that out because it kind of reminds me of the one I watched that had Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee in it called The House That Dripped Blood, to where it was an anthology. And everybody who moved in that.
That's on my list to watch, but I haven't
and
seen it.
everybody who moves in that house has something bad happen to them. And it's one of those movies where the real estate agent is just like, I try to warn you. Well, what? Well, quit trying to sell the damn house if you don't want people to be dying in it. Then down. There's always just one of those things. You just like, oh Lord, but it's a good one. It's actually I was surprised it was rated PG, so it's a little tame, but I thought I liked it. And it was kind of cool. There's the Christopher Lee one has an evil kid story in it. And I'm always a sucker for like, like bad seed types, like evil kid kind of stuff. There's because when you watch it, you think Christopher Lee's character is an asshole, but you find out that he's an asshole for a reason, and you know the kid's an evil shit or something. That's a good one. And then there's one with like these wax figures, and like they're trying to preserve this dead woman, and these men keep falling in love with like the wax figure. It sounds stupid if I explain it, but if you watch it, it's pretty good.
The House That Drew Blood. Yeah,
The House that Drip Blood, yeah.
yeah.
But
That's on my list. I haven't seen that yet, but I want to see that.
But
Uh,
there's not a lot of blood in the movie because it's PG. So it's the house that didn't drip blood, but the stories are good.
the second story in Dr. Terror's House of Horror is my favorite of the movie, and it's Creeping Vine. And that's what it is. Let me go ahead and read one here. Bill Rogers and his wife Ann and daughter Carol returned from their holiday to discover a fast-growing vine in the garden. When the plant seems to respond violently to attempts to cut it down, Rogers goes to the Ministry of Defense, where he gets advice from a couple of scientists. The plant shows increasing signs of intelligence, murderous intent, and self-preservation. First killing the family dog, then Jerry Drake, one of the scientists, and finally snapping the telephone line and then blocking all windows and doors to the house. And it's a cool effect. The vine, the living vine, it's a kind of cool effect. They did a pretty good job with that, the creeping vine. It actually is pretty creepy for a movie made, in '65, and that's, like I say, it's kind of the whole movie's kind of silly and stupid, but that's my favorite story of the bunch is the creeping vine. And
you
that's the
know,
one I think they did a good job with that. The
you
vine.
know those old anthologies are nice. Another one that Peter Cushing was in was. Have you seen the '70s Tales from the Crypt?
Well, that's on my list here.
Oh, you
Uh,
got to watch that one. That's a good one too.
I'm gonna get to that one. But anyway, the creeping vine, and the next one is voodoo, and what it is, there's this jazz musician, and where is he at? He's they're going to this. Oh, I'm trying to think where they were at. They're in this country where they've got a bunch of there's voodoo ceremonies and things like that, and they're there, playing their jazz music. And the guy, I think he plays a trumpet, I believe, and he goes to one of these voodoo ceremonies, and they're playing drums and stuff and playing a voodoo song. And he's like, "Hey, that sounds good. That's hip, man. I got to play that kind of music, man." And so he goes to his club that he plays at, and he plays a version of the voodoo dance at the club. And when the voodoo witch doctors, find out that he's playing their music, they go, "Oh, you can't do that. That's sacrilegious. You can't play our music." And they tell him, "You can't do that. You can't play our music, my voodoo music." And anyway, that's another one. It's got kind of a twist ending, but it's kind of cool. The jazz musician playing the voodoo music and pissing off the voodoo guys. uh, and yeah, it's okay. Like I say, the creeping vine's my favorite of that, but the voodoo thing's okay. And then here we go with one with Christopher Lee's in this one, the disembodied hand. And
Oh, that sounds awesome. I already picture that. It like
it
thing.
it was a guy gets his hand cut off, and basically you have the hand crawling around and attacking people. That's the very shortened version of the story. But yeah, That's what it is. It's a disembodied hand that's crawling around, and the effect is good. I mean, I watched how they. I'm trying to like, well, how did they do that? Because it's like crawling around with its fingers and stuff. I'm like, with a movie that's made in '65 and all that, and you definitely the effects were pretty primitive, but it's like they did a good job with this. This actually looks pretty damn creepy. This hand crawling around and attacking people. Um, and hey, my sister says, "Hey guys, hey Kathy." Well, hey Kathy. But yeah, the disembodied hand. I won't go into detail about that. That's basically what it is. It's a disembodied hand that's crawling around. It's severed at the wrist, and it crawls around with its fingers, and it attacks people and kills people.
I've seen it's I guess it's kind of horror related, but there was a Bela Lugosi documentary on Tubi, and I didn't know that apparently the government thought he was like a communist or something. And, like they were spying on him and shit.
Um,
That was
and then
pretty cool.
the last story is vampire, and that's what it is. It's about a vampire. It's actually about a couple of vampires, and it's got another twist ending uh, that I liked. Um, and but yeah, Doctor Terror's House of Horrors,
Hmm.
and it's on Tubi, and yeah, but you know something that's got Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee both in it, uh, and it's fun. It's a fun movie, but yeah, um, look it up. Look it up on Tubi. Um, but
There's some good stuff on Tubi, but like I said, I really recommend that Bela Lugosi documentary because I didn't know that they thought he was a communist and he got harassed by the government and shit.
hmm,
And he was one of the first celebrities that was like a drug addict that like had a rehab scandal and stuff. But there's all kinds of stuff. There's one on Boris Karloff, uh, too. Like some of the documentaries on there is pretty good. But I love documentaries too.
yeah, yeah.
But they have
Me too.
sometimes they have
I
their
love documentaries.
agendas. I'm telling you, you need to watch the Dark Side of the Ring episodes or some of those wrestling documentaries because they get crazy. They just get just crazy. A lot of
You might send
murder.
me a message here in the next few days. Send me a message and remind me of that, or a particular episode you think is good.
It always ends up bad. Like you watch it, it's like everything's going good, their career's going good, and then they allegedly murdered a bunch of or something bad happens. It's never like good. One guy was his name was Bruiser Bedlam, and he wrestled for Smoky Mountain, but it turned out that he was in a motorcycle gang selling drugs, and then he blew up the police station, and so like he couldn't make it to the shows because he like I guess he blew up the police station and the law was looking for him and shit. Yeah, it's crazy. And then there's one called Dark Side of the '90s that just talks about messed up stuff that happened in the '90s.
Related to wrestling.
No, just the '90s in general.
Well, not nineties in general.
It started out with Dark Side of the Ring, and then it was like the Dark Side of Football, the Dark Side of '90s. There's like a whole big spin-off series of it.
Well, we talked about William Freakin last a few shows ago, and I recommend. I definitely want to recommend, and it's on Tubi. Freakin' Uncut, as far as documentaries, Freakin' Uncut, and it's William Freakin himself that pretty much narrates the movie, but it's got a bunch of his actors, like Willem Dafoe and stuff that was in his movies, and he goes through all the different movies he directed and talks about them and talks about the production and stuff. And one of the interesting things that I didn't know about William Friedkin, and he bragged about this, he, in most instances, was a one cut director. Just one cut. Sets it up, shoots it, we're done. Next one. Next setup. One cut. That's like unheard of, Uh, 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 you know. Uh, uh,
His movies, like I said, he's probably one of my favorite directors. But I keep trying to get people to watch Sorcerer. And I wish you would have named it something else because I told my cousin, but I don't want to watch no wizard movie. I'm like, it's not about wizards, it's truck drivers. And I showed him the trailer, and he's like, "Oh, that looks good. Why the hell is it called Sorcerer?" It's like, well, it's the name of the truck or something. You know,
Yeah, he shouldn't have named it that, and I think it's like a lost classic. I think it's a great
it
movie.
should be a
So,
documentary just based on the making of that movie because, like, we had a hydraulic bridge and the film that scene on the rope bridge, and apparently, it wasn't the big success they thought it was going to be, and it caused some people at the studio or whatever to be pissed off. And I don't know, it'd be an interesting documentary.
it was the movie that he made after The Exorcist, and so because he could do anything he wanted because he had won Best Picture before with The French Connection, and The Exorcist was such a big success that he could just pretty much write his own check and do whatever he wanted. And with Sorcerer, I mean, yeah, just amazing, some amazing stunts and things. That whole rope bridge business is just
I want
amazing.
to see. Well, Freakin' says it's not a remake, but there's been people I've seen do video essays that said it's a remake or very similar to an old black and white movie. I think it's a foreign film. I wouldn't mind seeing that one either. Just kind of
Well, it's
compare the
basically
two.
it's the same story, and I'm trying to think what the name of the original was. Hang on just a minute. Um, that you bring that up um, because uh, it's the same story and based on the same, I think, book or whatever. Um, but but hang on. Wages of Fear. Yeah. Okay. It was a 1953 movie, Wages of Fear. It is basically the same story. Them transporting this, nitroglycerin, several miles, and the dangers in that. Um, but on that freaking uncut, he talks about that, about how some folks have called it a remake. He says it's not a remake. He said, if you put Hamlet on stage, you don't consider Hamlet to be a remake of the last version of Hamlet. It's another version of the same story. So it's not
It's
a remake.
kind of like how Last House on the Left is another story of what was that movie? I think Max von Sydow was in it, The Virgin Spring or whatever. Kind of the
Yeah.
same thing. Yeah.
But he really fought against that about it being a remake. He says it's not a remake. It's just it's another version of the story. Um, and but yeah, definitely recommend Sorcerer, and it's on YouTube, or at least it was recently on
I
YouTube.
I remember I rented it on Prime, and it's a really good movie, and it's but like I said, the whole time I just wish they would have named it something else besides Sorcerer. Because I was telling the coworker about it, and she was the opposite of my cousin. Like, this is about truck drivers. Where's the sort? Like, where's the sorcerer?
Well, and also it's the movie he made after The
Yeah, so
Exorcist.
you're expecting it to be like Ooga
You know,
Booga or
so
something.
you name a movie Sorcerer right after The Exorcist, they're going to think, well, he's making another horror movie. It's going to be
It's
and
kind of like Mel Gibson with that Apocalypto after the Passion of the Christ. They thought it was going to be like kind of like a religious thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a great movie. And okay, here's another one, and this is on also on Tubi, and it's also got Peter Cushing in it, and Donald Pleasance shows up. The Uncanny, and I had never even heard of it, but I saw, oh, there's Peter Cushing, and so I want to see it. And it's in 1977, which is the year that Star Wars came out. So you got Peter Cushing pretty much looking the way he looked in Star Wars. He's old. He's pretty old. Pretty old man by then, in 1977. But it's another anthology, and every story has cats.
Hell yeah.
Features cats as a prominent part of the story. Cats. The Uncanny. And you've got Peter Cushing. He goes. He's this guy that's wrote a book. He's got this big manuscript, and he goes to a publisher. He says, "You got to publish my book. You got to publish this book. The world needs to know these stories. They need to know this." Basically, he wants to tell the world that cats are dangerous animals, that they'll fuck you up. You got to hear You got to hear what's happened with these stories, and the world needs to know this. Cats are mischievous creatures. They'll kill you. They're evil creatures. uh, and so he tells these stories to the publisher, and so that's when you have these stories unfolding, the uncanny. Um, and let's see. Um, the first one is let's see. The first story, it's this wealthy woman, soul woman, and she's about to die, and her maid, and her maid's boyfriend are really wanting to get this woman's inheritance, wanting to steal it in some way, because it turns out in her will, she's willing the millions and millions of dollars of her estate to her damn cats. She's willing everything to her cats, and she's like a crazy cat lady. She's got a house full of cats. They're all jumping around everywhere, and going down the damn stairs, handrail and stuff. There's cats everywhere, running up and down the stairs and running around everywhere. Probably shitting on everything, pissing on everything. But there's cats everywhere, and she's willing all her money to these damn cats. And so the maid hears her telling her lawyer the combination to her safe where she keeps her will. And she goes in while the old woman's asleep and tries to open up her safe to get her will, but the old woman wakes up and sees her doing it, and the maid kills her, strangles her to death and kills her. And the rest of the movie, you have the woman's cats stalking this girl, this maid. She finally has to run into like a storage closet and close the door because the damn cats are scratching her face and jumping all over and scratching her up. And she's in this damn storage closet trying to find shit to eat. She finds like a jar of like expired peanut butter or something, and she's eating it and making herself sick because the cats are outside going, waiting for her to come out so they can attack her and kill her. And finally, she gets out of the storage closet and she sees the cats have eaten the old woman. You see her decomposed body, and it's all ripped open where the cats
That's a thing that actually happens, from what I understand too.
And that's something I've heard too. That if you die in your home and you've got cats are going to eat you.
That's going to happen to me. I'm kind of pissed at my cats because Sassafras keeps getting out, and she ran out and was gone and went underneath the house. And she came back looking like she came from the pet cemetery, all fucking mangy and dirty and shit. And so I'm going to have to try to clean her or take her to the vet and figure out what's. But I was like, what the goddamn Sassafras? You're so black, shiny coat, all clean and shit. Now you're looking all like a wino. That's what she looked like. She looked like a wino crawling from underneath the house. I was pissed. But
and there's times where you'll be petting Sassafras or any cat, and just out of nowhere they'll like bite you.
Have you ever tried to? Cats will tear you up. Have you ever tried to give one a bath?
Oh God, no! I have never tried that.
I had to. My dad used to weld, and what I did, I put on his leather sleeves and gloves. Because I tried one time, I was like, "Here's the water. I'm putting you in," and just like cling to my arm and just. And I was like, "Damn, I'm gonna have to go to urgent care and have them like fix me up."
But anyway, I'm not going to spoil. That's another one I'm going to spoil the ending. it's gruesome though. The uncanny and that first story in the uncanny with the cats, because like every story has cats. Um,
Hmm.
so let's see.
But that is true. A cat will eat you after you die. I don't know if dogs will. Maybe. I don't know.
The other one is there's like an orphan girl that goes to live with like I don't know, it's like her aunt or something, and her aunt has got a daughter who's like a little twat. She's like a complete bitch, and she's older than the girl, and she torments her, this, her stepsister or whatever. But anyway, the little girl has a cat, and her aunt is like, I can't have a cat in the house. You can't bring this. I mean, she don't say fucking. You can't bring this fucking cat in the house. But her the little girl's doctor or something like that. I forget who it is, but he tells the old woman, says, "Look, you need to let her keep the cat because she's lost her mother, she's lost her parents, and that's her only friend is this cat. You need to let her keep the cat." So reluctantly, the aunt lets her keep the cat, but the damn older stepsister is tormenting her, and you know, um, she'll say, she'll knock over something off a cupboard or something and say the cat did it, and try to blame the cat. And at one point, they take the cat away, going to take it to a damn vet to be put to sleep, but the cat escapes. But anyway, the little girl has a book that she has kept because her mother used to uh, be into black magic. She was, she
Hell
invented,
yeah.
and she's got a book of black magic that the little
Hell
girl.
yeah.
And so finally, to get even with the evil stepsister, she makes a pentagram on the floor, and she's got her cat with her, and she shrinks the stepsister into like a doll size, and of course the cat is going, and anyway, that's a good story, and but yeah, and let's see. Oh, okay, and the last one, and this one's got Donald Pleasance in it, and it's this actor, and he's making like a horror movie where the actress is like under one of them pendulums, with the blade that's swinging back and forth.
Oh, like the Vincent Price so
Yeah, like in the pendulum. And
Yeah.
so anyway, it's his. I think it's his wife. It's either girlfriend or wife, but he wants to get rid of her, and she's an actress, and she's a bad actress. And so she's got this swinging pendulum. It's supposed to be a fake pendulum, but he replaces it with a real one, so that when it comes down, it actually slices
Oh
her and
shit.
kills her. It actually kills her. But he's the people that are making the movie. They're like, oh, what happened? Well, I don't know what happened. It was an accident. So he starts having an affair with the replacement actress that basically looks just like his wife. And uh, uh, and anyway, there's a cat involved somehow. Let me look at this. I'm trying to remember. Um, uh, oh! It's the cat. The first woman, the first wife that was killed had a cat, and this cat is going to get revenge on um, her being killed, murdered, and it's kind of a gruesome way that the, the the death is avenged at the end of it. It's one of them where you stand up and it's like a door that's got a bunch of spikes and it closes in on you. What do you call
Oh
that?
shit.
The
I know what you're talking about though, but it's like crushes you.
hang on. Iron Maiden. Yeah, Iron.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and I'll just say there is a literal depiction of the term "cat got your tongue" at the end of the story. Uh, and it's pretty gruesome. It's like, for
Well,
something
as
that.
someone who owns cats and dogs, I can tell you, if you give like a dog half a treat or something, it don't know, but a cat, they don't forget. They could be vengeful. Yeah, I could see that shit happening.
But anyway, the uncanny, and if you like cats, you need to you in particular. If you haven't seen the uncanny, you go to Tubi and look it up. It's a fun movie, anthology movie, and like I say, Peter Cushing, you know, and Donald Pleasance, and an early role for Donald Pleasance. Um, but yeah, the uncanny, uh, and all featuring cats. Um,
Hmm.
so, and I've been kind of taking over this conversation, uh, but let's talk about Tales from the Crypt, what you brought up, the original Tales from the Crypt. Uh,
Yeah. Like I said, it's very different than like the course the '90s one. The Crypt Keeper is actually a human, and it's sort of like the movie you talked about with Peter Cushing. They all go to this crypt, and he basically he tells them why they're or like he instead of telling them what's gonna happen, he tells them what happened to them and like how they ended up there, and it's a real fun one. There's like a version of the monkey's paw, but instead it's like some like Japanese statue. And the guy, she's like, I wish my husband would be alive forever, or like he'd be alive like the way he
oh
was
man,
like right before.
Bruce.
And
Uh,
he was embalmed or something, and so like he's alive, but he's embalmed, so he's in pain, and so she gets an axe and she starts chopping him up. And it's funny because it's like a British movie, so like, oh bloody hell, you wish him alive forever. So like no matter what, so he's just like suffering forever, like getting burned by embalming fluid and stuff. And the Peter Cushing story, I think, is the best one because he's this old man. He's like a poor old man in a rich neighborhood, and they're trying to run him out.
but
And like,
he builds toys for kids.
yeah, and they kind of accuse him. Well, they didn't say it, but I guess like they're kind of accusing him of being like a pedo or something.
Yeah,
And they have his
yeah,
dogs taken away, and
uh,
they have to get fired, so he loses his pension. And anyways, he ends up killing himself, and then he comes back as like one of the coolest looking zombies to like murder the dude.
yeah. The makeup they do on him is so cool, and that kind of smile he gives that guy. You know, um,
But yeah, it was just that was one of those movies that is or that story I think was the one that stood out because it was. I mean, they were just that dude was just shitty to him. He framed his dogs for messing up that guy's garden and shit, and that was a good one. And then of course the Killer Santa, which in both versions, the '70s one and the '90s one, just blame it on the damn guy outside. Why are you trying to hide the body? Like I don't understand that shit. Just be like,
well,
oh, we
this is it's a woman kills her husband, and she picks the worst time to kill her husband because it's at the same time there's an escaped lunatic dressed
or
up
the best time.
as Santa, dressed up as Santa that's killing people. But it's like, well, yeah, like say, well, I can blame it on this guy, you know, but he's trying
Dude,
to kill her.
all you had to say is if she stayed in the house and rang for the police, oh, we let this guy in. We thought it was Santa. It was going to be all fun and games. We invited him in for milk and cookies, and oh shit, he snapped and murdered my husband. The
Uh,
police, they want to build their career. They're not going to look any further into it. They're going to be like, oh yeah, this guy did it. We're going to build a case against him.
and that turned out to be the first episode of the HBO series. That,
Yeah, it in the HBO series. She's like, I didn't kill him. Santa did. It's like, damn, bitch, it took you that long to figure it out. That's
uh,
it.
And of course, her daughter is, anxiously awaiting for Santa's arrival. It's Christmas, and Christmas morning, or Christmas night, or Christmas Eve night. And of course, the little girl lets the damn maniac in because he's ready to say, "Oh, let Santa in," And of
And
course,
it's funny because in the '70s one, instead of strangling her, it looks like he's like giving her like a massage because he's grabbing her like traps. He's like, "Hey." Yeah, that was a
but
pretty good one.
the monkey's paw one has a gruesome ending because um, this is woman. It's what it is. It's like a statue or something that has three
Yeah,
wishes,
it's like a Japanese looking statue or something.
and it's three wishes. And well, of course, the original monkey's paw. They it gets the end where they wish their son is killed like in an accident. They wish their son was alive, and of course he's basically a zombie, and so they wish him back dead again. That's the final wish. Well, in this version, this woman has a husband. She wishes for wealth, and she finds out, well, she's going to get rich all right because her husband has died in a car accident and his life insurance is double indemnity or whatever you call it. So she's going to be a millionaire, but her husband's dead. Uh, so she wishes him back alive. But here's the thing, he didn't die in the car crash. He had a heart attack before he had the car crash. So they bring in the casket. You just have these guys just bringing in the casket. They're not saying anything. They're just bringing in this casket with their husband's body in it. And so, in the final wish, she says, "I want him to be alive, and I don't want him to ever die." Well, that's fucked up because he's all broken up and from the car crash. His body's all broken up and shit, and he's like his hand is like severed off of him and shit. So he's going to be alive forever in
And pain. But
agonizing pain.
they also mentioned he had embalming fluid in him,
Yeah,
which is
he
burning
was
him up.
embalmed. Yeah, he was embalmed, and so, but he'll never die because her wish was that he'll never die.
And she
So
starts like chopping him up too.
yeah, then she gets, what is it, like a machete or a hatchet or something, starts chopping him, and his doctor or whatever is going, "Stop it, stop it! Don't you understand? He will never die. You know, you're just making it worse. Chopping him all up. He's not going to die. Because that was her wish that he'll never die. So, uh,
Yeah, the other one wasn't it? There's a guy, he was like cheating on his wife, and if memory serves, he has a car wreck, but he doesn't know he's dead. And so, like when he goes back to all the other places, everyone's screaming and freaking out. And then it turns out that the girl he was with like got blinded, and she was blinded in the car accident. So she can't see he's a zombie or whatever, but she's like, "It can't be you. You're dead." And he sees
that was that
himself in
first
like
story.
the
I think that
mirror.
was the first story.
Yeah, and he's like, "Eh." He's not as cool of a zombie as Peter Cushing, but he's decent looking zombie. He's like, "Eh," wakes up. And my favorite part is when the guy falls into the hell, and it's like real shitty looking. It's like he's like, "Ah."
Like a blue screen effect. Um,
Yeah.
then the last story is cool. You've got this home for blind people, um, and it takes care of blind people. Everyone in the home is in this facility is blind, and the guy that runs the place is trying to cut corners and cut costs. He feeds them slop, and
Yeah,
you
he's an
know
asshole. He sicks
he's
a
a
dog on him and shit.
yeah, and one guy's sick, he's about to die, and he's like, "Well, I can't help him. We gotta call the doctor." The guy comes in, this blind guy comes, "You gotta call the doctor and help him." Well, he's gonna die anyway, or whatever. I don't know what he says, but it's like he's a real asshole, and he's basically just letting these blind inmates suffer, you know, living in deplorable conditions to cut costs. So but he's got a dog. He's got a mean dog. The guy that runs the blind house. He's got a mean dog. So during the night, in the blind, one guy says to him, he's talking to the guy that runs the place. He goes, "Look, we blind people, we feel everything very intently. Since we can't see, we can feel, and that's why it's cold. It's very cold in here. They want blankets because it's freezing. You won't give them any blankets." And he said, "But we feel everything very intensely. So during the night, while the guy's asleep, they make a plan, and they get the guy trapped in like it was like a basement or something. It's a room. They get him trapped in here, and they close the door and lock the door. He's trapped in there, and his dog is in another room, and trapped in that, and he's barking and growling, trying to get out of this room. And they build out of wood this corridor from where the guy is trapped. They build this long corridor out of wood, and they along, and it's real narrow, very narrow. You can barely fit through it, this corridor. And they put all along the walls of this corridor razor blades sticking out, razor blades, And the guy is like fighting, begging to be let out of this room. And they finally let him out, and he goes into this corridor, and he sees that this very, very narrow hallway they've built, and it's got razor blades on either side that are sticking out, that he'll slice himself wide open if he has to really, struggle to get through this narrow hallway they've built. Well, the mean dog, is growling and barking in this other room. And he finally gets at the end of this narrow hallway they built with razor blades on both sides. And then they open up this panel that lets the dog out. And the dog
is hungry.
And the dog is hungry. And he comes running after the guy, and the guy, he turns around and he runs head on into that hallway where all the razor blades are at. And of course, he slices himself to ribbons. And the dog is like attacking him and eating him. So it's a fitting end for him at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude did a good job of playing an asshole. And while he gives them slop, he's eating like a nice steak dinner and shit. And then he's trying to, for some reason, he wants to run that place for like the blind as like a military type thing or something.
Yeah. But a good ending. And of course, the whole thing, along with the HBO series, was based on a comic book series during the 50s and 60s. Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror, I think the Witching Hour.
Shock suspense stories.
Yeah, shock suspense stories. And man, they were gruesome as hell and really great artwork.
I'm surprised they got away with some of that shit.
But the comic book code of like the late 60s, early 70s, they fucked everything up, where they couldn't make those comics anymore. But you can go. I need to go to like Amazon. They've got a bunch of those compiled into books. The old.
My favorite one is I think it's from the Vault of Horror. It's called the Tainted Meat, where like the dude's running a meat market, but he's selling like meat that's tainted, and people are dying. And then his wife confronts him about it, and then he goes home. And then, like, the kid's spending the night at a friend's house, and they bought the meat, and the kid dies from food poisoning or whatever. And so the wife snaps and kills him. And the last panel is, like, the dude's decapitated head and arms and shit, like where the meat and sausages should be. And she's like, tainted meat. And she's, like, chopping his arm up or something. And then there's the one with the baseball players where they kill someone from the other team, so the other team like murders him, and like they have like his body parts of like the baseball diamond and shit. That was pretty cool too.
It's a fun the HBO series. I've got all of them on DVD.
But like the comics though, that was from the comics. That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised for the 50s they were able to get away with that.
They were really gruesome. I think it was William Gaines who went on to make a Mad magazine. Um, I think he headed that up. The Tales of the Crypt, Vaults of Horror, and those different comics, horror comics.
Well,
But
he also they got in trouble because they did science fiction too, and they did a story where it was red robots and green robots, and they hated each other. And this astronaut from Earth is trying to tell them, that that's stupid because they're basically the same. And then at the end, he takes his helmet off, and it's a black dude. And of course, back in the '60s, people were racist, so they didn't like it. So that was another reason that they kind of had a mark against him too.
yeah, definitely. And it's on Tubi. Look that up. Tales of the
There's a
Crypt.
there's a documentary I think on the season 1 DVD that's real interesting about all that shit because
Uh,
they wanted him to redo the comic book but have a drawing of a white dude and he didn't do it because that was the whole point of the story and like it was crazy and the comics code guy thought Batman and Robin were gay and Wonder Woman was a lesbian and all kinds of crazy shit. So I don't know, like that guy, it was crazy. You could actually see video of him. It was almost like D. Snyder when he had to go talk to what's her face about the music. Remember?
yeah.
It was like the old black and white version of that, but with comic books.
Um, but like I say, I've been kind of trying to watch a movie a night for like the last week, and so a few nights ago, and on the new TV I've got, there's a feature where it takes all the different things that you're a member of, like Tubi and the Amazon channel and Disney Plus and Hulu and stuff, and it'll suggest movies from these different you know subscriptions that you have. So that's how I found a lot of movies that either I've never seen or that I have seen. It's been a long time since I've seen it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I want to watch that. And one of them, I'm a big fan of David Cronenberg. I mean, pretty much everything that he's done I like. Some stuff I like more than others, but I try to think what's my favorite Cronenberg. And I'll fluctuate from The Fly to The Brood.
Oh, I
Uh,
don't like that movie. I was disappointed in that one.
I really like I really like The Brood because to
I
me,
thought it was boring, and it was silly. How the way they walk in their little ponchos or whatever. Just I don't know.
I don't know.
It is.
It works for me. It works because to me, it's a very personal story. It's a lot more emotional than a lot of his movies to me. Um, where you have this doctor that's, he's supposed to be like some kind of psychologist or psychiatrist. That's the way he treats his patients is he wants them to physically show what's bothering them or whatever their torment is. You do it physically, you know. And so one guy has a bunch of sores all over his body where he's cut himself open. That's the way he expresses his torment about his father. Issues he has with his father. And then there's a man that's got a little girl, and his wife is under the doctorship of this guy, and he's bathing the little girl, and he sees the little girl's got scratches and marks all over her back where she's like been beaten and scratched, and he thinks that the mother's done it when she gets weekly visitation with the little girl at the hospital where she's being treated. Well, long story short, it turns out that what's been tormenting the little girl and what's been killing a bunch of people is these little mutant kids The Brood. They've got cleft palates. They have no navels, and they're creepy little kids. They're not creepy to you. They're silly to
No,
you.
I thought it was when they beat the teacher up. It was so funny. Like I thought it was. It looked like when we were little kids and we would attack our uncle or something. Like it was so silly looking.
You think
I
it's
just
silly? I think it works. To me, it works. Now, yeah, if you compare it to effects now or makeup effects now, it doesn't. It
I just
definitely it
they're
looks
wa-
dated. But I
they're
just
walking they're walking in the snow and they're so bundled up. They're like
um,
and they have like little beanies or toboggans on. I don't know. It's just maybe it's
I don't
it
know.
it works. There's movies that I like that people think are terrible. So it does.
But I really like the Brood, and like I say, it may be my favorite Cronenberg. But I tell you, I love The Fly. There's a lot of his movies I really like. Um, but I don't know. The one that I keep going back to, even though you don't like it, is The Brood. And
There was one that he did that everyone loved called A History of Violence, and I remember renting that from Hastings, and I was
I
like,
didn't care for that one.
I didn't like that one really either. I was like, like
I didn't.
I love Videodrome and like like a lot of the others.
Yeah, I love Videodrome. And uh, what's the one with Christopher Walken?
The Fly, it actually at up until recently, I was working two jobs, and one of my supervisors wanted to arm wrestle, and I thought about that scene where he breaks a dude, and I was like, nah.
Yeah, yeah,
I was
breaks his
like, no,
foot.
I'm not arm wrestling. No.
um,
Hmm.
but
I don't know. I might need to revisit The Brood because I haven't seen it in years, but there's certain movies that I watch that maybe I'm just not in the right mood for it or whatever. I don't know.
well, just the concept. Of course, Cronenberg is famous for his body horror movies.
Yeah. I like
Most of
the
his,
idea. I think I like the idea of it more than the execution. I do like the special effect where she has that thing come out of her stomach and she rips it open and it's like licking the fetus or whatever. That was pretty cool.
the idea that these are children born of anger and rage, that they're a manifestation of her anger, of her rage. They're actually her anger actually births the brood. It creates these mutant kids. Her anger does. I think that's an interesting concept. Um, and but anyway, yeah, like I said, I'm a big fan of the brood.
It's funny, and every time I hear The Brood, I always think of that tag team from WWF. It was like Michael Hayes, Edge Christian, and Gangrel, and they're like vampires or something. It's like I don't know. It makes me laugh. The Brood, but
Oh,
I might revisit. I need to revisit a lot of Cronenberg stuff because it's been so long since I watched his a lot of his films.
um, and then here's another one. Like I say, when I'm going through and seeing recommendations for different, movies that are on these different things I'm subscribing to, I go here. Here's one that I have heard about since the early '80s, and I've never seen it. I'm going to finally watch this movie, My Dinner with Andre, um, and it's Wallace Shawn, and I forget what Gregory or something. I forget what the other actor's name is. Um, that you know that inconceivable that guy, Wallace Shawn. I love that actor. But it's just two guys sitting at a table in a restaurant talking. That's what it is. That's all.
Oh, I know what I was drawing a blank on that movie, but I think I know what you're talking about. But that's the whole film, right? It's
It's
just
the
them in
whole
that
movie.
restaurant.
Yeah, that My Dinner with Andre, and it's just two guys sitting at a restaurant talking. That's it.
So
And
how was it? What did you like it?
they play fictionalized versions of themselves. So Wallace Shawn is named Wallace Shawn, and the other guys named whatever his name. They use their real names in the movie, and they're like another version of themselves in the movie. And Wallace Shawn's an actor in the movie, like he is in real life. He's still alive. He still acts. Um, but and he gets an invitation to have dinner with a guy that he used to be associated with back in as a playwright. He writes plays, and they used to work together, but he hasn't seen him in like 5, 10 years or something. And he gets an invitation to dinner, and he accepts the invitation, and he's kind of nervous about it because he's like, well, I've heard some weird things about him, that he was like in some jungle talking to trees or something, that he'd lost his mind. So they
Hell
meet.
yeah.
They meet at the restaurant and they order food and they just start talking. And I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the conversations they had. The playwright talks about, he kind of lost his will to write plays. He is like, so he went to like this jungle and he got all these people together that don't speak English, and he did like some experimental like theater work with them and had them like act out these different scenarios and stuff, and like getting his hunger to write plays again or something like that. And then Wallace Shawn talks about being an actor and the struggles he's having, and that's all it is though. It's just a conversation between two guys. And
so there's like there's no cutting to other scenes. It's just them at the dinner table.
That's the entire movie. It's just these two guys sitting at a table, and they order food and they're eating and they're talking.
So would you say it's kind of like that first scene in Reservoir Dogs, where it's kind of filmed like that, where they're at the
kind of like that. It didn't cut to anything. It begins. Wallace Shawn is narrating. It begins with him, and he's driving his car, and he's going to this restaurant to meet with this guy, and he narrates it. About being an actor, and then getting an invitation from Andre to meet at this restaurant, and then they go and they meet and they sit down and they order food, and the rest of the movie is just them talking. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check that out.
And it's on shit. It might be Max. I think it might be Max. If you got HBO.
That one you recommended, The King of Comedy, I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
I just don't think that he would have. I just don't think that De Niro's character would have got out of prison that fast after doing all that stuff. But
and becomes so famous, because he. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, I definitely would recommend it. Whether you will like it or not, that's another story. I did enjoy it because, when I was in high school, our senior play went to state. I won 3 Best Actor medals. I thought maybe I might be an actor. The first few years when I majored in drama in college, and then making my little short films and stuff. I've been interested in acting and in directing and writing stories and stuff. So what they are talking about is something that I'm interested in. The conversation that they have are subjects that I'm interested in. So I'd be interested to see if you would like it. What their conversation, what they talk about.
I have to check it out. I've mostly been watching stuff on streaming because the last time I was at the theater, all the previews was just stuff that didn't really interest me. Well, like there's that new I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I'm like, I don't. Meh.
And there's Megan 2.0, which I really like.
Which I'm interested in that one. That's one I actually want to see because I like the first one.
Yeah, I like the first Megan. I like the uncut version better. You can find that the PG-13 version is I like it, but the uncut version's got a little bit more gore in it. Just and it's more of a horror movie.
Seems like it's going to be like. This one seems like it's going to be more like Terminator 2, to where like the Terminator 1 Arnold was bad.
This one is more of an action adventure story. It's not a horror movie.
But I guess she turned good guy now because there's like
Yeah,
another evil
there's
robot or
another
whatever.
evil. It's basically the plot to Terminator 2. There's another evil robot that's after the little girl, and so they bring Megan back. And they give her upgrade because she's an older girl now. The actress is the same actress, but she's older. So she's I want to be
Yeah,
taller, I want to be
I
stronger,
wanna,
and all.
like I said, that's one I'm interested in seeing, and we got a long ways to wait. But me and my friend Terrell were talking about Terrifier 4, and it's just like counting down the days. I guess whenever that's supposed to come out.
I just, you think by now they would have been like a teaser trailer or something of it. I just want to know what the setting is going to be for Terrifier.
Well, like me and my buddy were saying, he said that he read up on one of the websites that they're trying to do an origin, and he kind of has the opinion like that we do. We don't need to know who he is. We just need him to show up.
And that's the thing about Art the Clown is I don't really want to know where he comes from. I just like that he's this evil clown creature that
I
I hope they don't over-explain what his
always just
origin.
assumed he was a demon or something.
He's a
Yeah,
demon. But like at the end of Terrifier 3, there's like a gate to hell that opens up, and and all that. So it's like it's a clown from hell. And the thing about a clown from hell is, well, you can't kill a clown from hell. How are you going to kill Art the Clown? You can't kill him. They tried to kill him in the first movie, and he was literally reborn. Or at the end of the 2, he was reborn. And
it's like Saddam Hussein in South Park. They keep killing him, and then he goes to hell, and then the devil tries to kill him, and he comes back. He's like, "Where was I supposed to go? Detroit?" We're gonna.
but I'm definitely interested in seeing what they do with Terrifier 4. But yeah,
And then,
you might
what,
look it up and just give it a try. My Dinner with Andre. Be interested to see if you would like it. I enjoyed it because, like I say,
did you
all it is. It's just a conversation. That's it. Uh,
What I want to know is what happened with because Mike Flanagan was supposed to be doing the new Exorcist movie, but apparently there is a drama. They said on he's doing a TV version of Carrie or something, and there's a lot of drama on the set and stuff. But it's like I thought he was doing the new Exorcist.
I'm not the least bit interested in New
That's what I'm
Exorcist.
saying. No, I'm not. I'm just saying though. It's just like it's just weird. Like, do we need? I'd rather see his version of a possession film or The Exorcist than another Carrie remake. Like,
Yeah.
and you see, they remade The Running Man.
I watched the trailer for that today, and I'm like, I kind of want to see this. I like the
I
trailer. Um,
don't
it,
know.
the original Schwarzenegger, I like it. It's a little it's a little silly, but I don't know. I like the trailer for the new Running Man.
Hmm.
Enough to where when it comes to streaming, I'll seek it out. It's one that I'm anxious to see what the reviews are going to be for Running Man, the new Running Man. But I like the trailer. Um, um, okay, here's another one that I watched a few days ago, and I told you about this. I'd heard about it, and I'll say this for the movie: it looks amazing. The way the colors, the way the movie is shot. I saw the TV glow,
Oh, I heard about that.
and it's got a very vibrant, almost neon look to it. Just the way that everything is shot, and the colors and everything are so vibrant. Um, and it's about this kid, a little black kid, and he's an outcast. He didn't talk to anybody. His parents don't know what to do with him. He's a little weirdo kid, and he meets this girl at school. I think maybe she's like a year or two older than him, and she's looking at this book about this TV show. And what's it? The Pink Opaque is the name of the show, and it's about two girls that live like on opposite sides of the continent. They're little teenage girls, but they can communicate telepathically, and they fight demons and monsters telepathically. They fight demons and monsters, but they're not together. They live like thousands of miles away, but they communicate telepathically. And they fight these, almost like, Japanese kaiju kind of monsters, and shit. Um, and it's this TV show, and this boy and this girl, it comes on at 10:30 at night, and they sit and watch this, sit in front of the TV, and they watch the Pink Opaque, and they get addicted to this show. And then at one point, the girl tells the boy, "I've got to leave this town. This town's going to kill me. I've got to leave this town." And he's like, I need someone to watch the show with, the Pink Opaque. He says, "Well, I've got to go." And she disappears. And no one knows what happened to her. Her parents don't know where she went. She completely disappears. And I don't want to give a whole lot of away about this, because I definitely want you to see this.
Yeah, it's on my list, definitely.
But it deals with gay, queer culture, transgender culture. Those are things I'm interested in. I'm not gay, I'm straight, but I'm interested in those things. I know would you say you're bisexual?
Yeah.
And I really got into this movie. Really, and when it got to the end, I was really sort of touched by it. And it's not really a horror movie, but it's got some elements of a horror movie to it.
I just wanted to see it because of the name. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I saw the TV glow.
I saw the TV glow.
Yeah, I was like, the hell is that?
Put that on the top of your list to watch.
Yeah, but I gotta be careful with just picking movies based on titles, because I picked one called Skinamarink, and oh my god, that was horrible. In the back of my mom was alive, bless her heart, but she was a completist. We had to finish it. You rented it. You spent money on it. We had to finish it. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, when is this going to be over? Nothing's happening.
Take a movie. First of all, make everything completely out of focus and make it where you can't hear a word that's being said. Everything is completely out of focus. The colors are all washed out. It's blurry. Everything's blurry. You can't hear it.
And what's weird is like they have subtitles, but it's so out of focus you can't even read the subtitles. So like, what the fuck are they saying? It's like
it's a movie you can't see it, you can't hear it, you got no fucking idea what's going on in this movie.
But some people loved it. Like, I had people recommend it to me. They were messaging me, "You guys see Skinamarink?" And I was like, "This is fucking awful."
It took me I think 3 viewings to finally finish this movie, because I said, I'm going to fucking finish this movie, and I finished it. And at the end of it, I was just shaking my head. That made no sense. I appreciate, as a guy that makes short films and stuff, I appreciate experimenting, doing things differently, and trying a new way of telling a story.
I think they were just showing weird shit and trying to say it's elevated. Because me and my friend Darren talked about that. They're like, if we got us a camera and just filmed a bunch of weird shit, and it doesn't have to make sense, we'll just film a bunch of weird shit and say it's elevated, and then a bunch of hipsters will be like, "Oh my god, it's the best thing ever." Because some of that shit didn't make sense. The toilet appears and the toilet disappears and it reappears. Like,
yeah, and then there's no with the windows in the house disappear, and you got there's 2 kids. It's they're boys, aren't there? There's 2 boys.
I couldn't even tell because it's so damn. It's so
out of focus.
It hurt my eyes to watch.
And you
see their feet most of the time, so it's like I don't even know what are they? Is it a boy? Is it I don't know.
I think it's 2 boys. I think, and half the movie
they're watching cartoons.
Half the damn movie is old cartoons showing on this old little color TV. That is half the movie. Is just that you just see this TV showing these old cartoons. Yeah, no, that movie didn't work at all for me. Like I say, I appreciate kind of the experimental nature of it, but
if my mom wouldn't have made me finish it, because we used to have movie nights and stuff, I would have turned it off. But she's like, no, we paid for it. You got to watch it. I'm like, this is fucking terrible. I don't want to watch this anymore. Like shit.
But I will say this from the same director, before he made Skinamarink, he made a short film called Heck. Like not hell, heck. And basically, it's the same kind of movie. It's out of focus. You got the same cartoon showing on TV. I think it's just one kid in Heck instead of two kids. And it's almost the same story, but I think it works in Heck. I made it to the end of it, and I thought it kind of worked in Heck. As a
Is heck
short as a short
is heck
film,
short?
it's short. Well, 30 minutes, I think. Um,
Okay, see, I could have tolerated that, but that damn Skinamarink was like 2 hours.
yeah. So look it up. I think it's on YouTube. Look up Heck from the same director, and I think he made this before he made Skinamarink. I think it's what got him the money to make Skinamarink was Heck.
You know what it reminded me of? When I was in school, they wanted to see if I had ADD or whatever, and I had to just like pay attention to boring shit. And it's like I don't want them to put me on Ritalin, so I have to really like act like I pay. It was torture. I just wish that movie. I just wish Dead Pit would have done an on the road for that, because I would have loved to seen their reaction.
Didn't they do a watch along for it?
I don't know, but
I think they
bless
did.
their heart.
I think so. I think they did a watch along.
Bless their heart if they did. Hopefully they had some people
Because,
on to talk to, because damn, that movie's terrible.
but that's the thing is the kind of watch along where you basically talk about everything but the movie because there's nothing to talk about. You know, there's really nothing to talk about in that movie.
But it looked cool too. Like the poster looked cool, and I was like, "Oh shit, this looks cool." And then it's like, "Oh, this is terrible."
Yeah. No. And the last movie I'll talk about, I watched this last night. And fans of David Lynch, kind of like with David Cronenberg, I love David Lynch. There's so much of his stuff I love. Eraserhead. Um,
That's
and,
some creepy shit in that one.
and well, there's so many movies that he did, and Twin Peaks, of course. But I never hear anyone talk about The Straight Story. And I guess you would say almost it's his most normal movie. It's rated G. And hang on just a minute. It's based on a true story. And it's about an old man, and that's his last name. It's Straight. But hang on, because I'm going to look up some information here. It's the old man in Misery, the sheriff, Richard Farnsworth.
Yeah.
Well, he plays Straight. And Sissy Spacek's in it. He plays his daughter, and she's not really retarded, but she's got, when she talks like that. She talks like that. When she talks like that. And she's got a little bit of a mental issue. She had some kids that were taken away from her because they thought she was going to be a bad mother because she's got a mental problem. But she really is pretty smart. She makes birdhouses. She's not really retarded, but she got that way she talks. But it's Sissy Spacek. She's great in it.
Oh,
But
so
Richard
she has like a speech disability.
kind of a speech disability she has. It talks like that. But this old man Straight, he's feeble. He can't hardly walk. He has to walk with a cane. He can't drive. He's blind. He can't, mostly blind. He can't drive. He don't have a driver's license. And his brother, like 300 or 400 miles away in Wisconsin, his brother has a stroke. Well, now he hasn't talked to his brother in like 10 years. They had a falling out of some kind. And so, he hasn't talked to his brother. But his brother has a stroke, and he's like, I need to go see my brother. Well, he can't drive, but he's got a riding lawnmower. And basically, he rigs up a trailer. He builds a trailer that he can sleep in and keep like chairs in and stuff and keep food in. and he hooks it up to a riding lawnmower. And his plan is to drive hundreds of miles to go see his brother driving a riding lawnmower. And that's what he does. And he meets some interesting people along the way on his travels, riding his riding lawnmower, pulling this trailer, you know.
Is he is it like George Jones when he's on the lawnmower? You know what I'm talking about? When
George.
George Jones got drunk on the lawnmower because like they took his keys away, and so he got on the lawnmower to go to the liquor store. It's
Well,
a
not really, but it's just this old, basically an old
yeah,
man driving a riding lawnmower hundreds of miles. He drives, of course, all these, diesels passing him by and honking and blaring their horns at him. Is like, what you doing, you old bastard?
yeah, but
And-
it's
but
yeah,
it's definitely. I think it's on Disney Plus. If you like David Lynch, and I hardly hear anybody talk about that movie, but it's really good. It's really touching. Great performance by Richard Farnsworth and Sissy Spacek, and based on a true story, based on a real man. Straight, he actually did that. This old man drove hundreds of miles on a riding lawnmower to go see his brother.
I'll have to check that. I'll have to check. That sounds interesting.
And it does have the look and feel of a David Lynch movie. It's not, his movies have weird characters and stuff, or it'd be more of a horror movie or
But
something.
is it at least kind of weird? Because that's what
It's kind of
that's kind
weird.
of yeah.
The characters he meet are kind of weird. It has a look of a David Lynch movie. I mean, you can watch it and you can say, well, that was David Lynch directed that. Although it's rated G, and it's a much more, the movie being called a straight story. Well, that's really kind of what it is. It's a straight story. It's just a story about a normal old man going to visit his brother driving a riding lawnmower.
Yeah, the reason I brought up George Jones though is because he got that DWI on the lawn, and that was like one of the first celebrity videos. And we used to make beer runs when I lived in Itasca. There was a store called the Hood Store, and as tribute to him, we get on the riding lawnmower and just drive to go like pick up beer from the store. Just and those riding lawnmowers are slow as hell. So that dude must have took
Well,
fucking
I think
months.
it was 5-6 weeks. It
God,
took him, and I think it was like 350 miles or something like that he's traveling, and it took him. I think it was like 6 weeks. And at one point, it's trying to because the mower breaks down and he has to stop, and he has these guys that work on his lawnmower, and he meets some interesting people along the way. It definitely has the feel of a David Lynch movie, but it's one you can watch with kids. It's like it's G-rated.
you're not going to see the weird. You're not going to see the weird Eraserhead baby and Nightmare Fuel.
It's
And
not like the Blue Velvet, or anything like that. It doesn't get really creepy or weird.
with Dennis Hopper being a mad. What's that thing? He's all like
Sucking on that what knocks us
my
out.
favorite part. Is that the one where he's like Heineken? I want Pabst Blue Ribbon or whatever.
Uh, um, but yeah, the straight story. Look that up. Look that up. I saw the TV glow. But yeah, and that's something I definitely recommend. Anyone that likes David Lynch, I'm a big fan of David Lynch. I hardly hear anyone talk about the straight story, but that is actually
You think it's because it's not one of those super duper weird, kind of disturbing looking things, probably.
I think it's a movie that a lot of people saw it and they just don't. They never had any idea that David Lynch directed it. It's just because the story, like I say, it's not a weird story. It's about what he's doing is a little weird. Driving hundreds of miles in a riding lawnmower is kind of weird, but it's based on a true story that actually happened. And Richard Farnsworth, bless his heart, that old man, great actor. Like I say, in Misery, he's the sheriff. In Misery. He around this time, a little bit after he made the movie Straight Story, I think he developed some kind of cancer. He committed suicide with a shotgun.
Oh damn!
Yeah,
he kind of did what. He kind of did what I think it was. Trying to remember.
Kind of a Kurt Cobain.
Well, there was a country singer. I think it was Farron Young that got throat cancer and he killed himself.
Yeah,
I
But
could
yeah,
be
great.
wrong on that one, but yeah.
But he's so good in this, just as an acting performance, you should see it.
Speaking of suicide, you need to watch that Woman in the Yard. I don't know your thoughts on that one.
I definitely want to see it when it's streaming somewhere. I'll definitely watch it.
It's on
Um,
Peacock.
I don't have Peacock. Yeah, like I say, I
Yeah, but
need to
you gotta
slow down.
check.
I subscribe to Max. I've got Hulu. I've got Disney Plus. I've got Netflix. Uh, and there's a bunch of stuff that come on Peacock. And damn, I want to see that. They had the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary. I really wanted to watch all that, but that come
It's
on Peacock.
I mean, that was a movie I thought that was gonna be the shits. Like I thought I was gonna make fun of it and laugh at it, but I was actually like, damn, this is pretty good.
I
I was
definitely want to see it.
surprised.
I watched
But my
Cody.
thing is, I signed up for like streaming services, but I feel like I just look at stuff. I'm just kind of scrolling and looking, and then I just get bored and I get off of it. And I hate that. Like I have to make myself find something. So I'm like, damn, I'm paying for this shit. There has to be something on here somewhere.
But yeah, that's let's see if I'm forgetting anything. But I think that covers the movies I want to talk about. Um, but yeah, uh, and like I say, that's something that I haven't typically done is watched that many movies in a short time. But I think we can continue to do that. But like I say
Yeah,
now,
it's gonna be easier for me since I'm not gonna be working two jobs anymore. I'll be able to have more time to watch movies and try to read a book or two. I'm
well,
like
like I
one of the
say,
only people I know that read.
I'll I'll put some money away and be thinking of a day you and I could get together and go to the Hippodrome or something like that. Go hang out and spend the day and hang out. Go to a movie or
Yeah,
something like that.
the Hippodrome would be dope. That's a cool looking building. Like, I mean, it's like real. I took some pictures. I don't think I was supposed to be in there. I just like walked in there, took some pictures and stuff. It like looks like the Phantom of the Opera or something. It's like real old timey looking. There's a theater in West. It was a one room theater that I don't know if someone's going to try to remodel it, but it's been closed down ever since I was a kid. It went out of business in the 80s. It'd be nice if someone would buy that property and kind of bring it back. Or there's that one in Hillsboro. That's the I think it's called the Lone Star Theater. It's a two-room theater, like a twin. And it just makes me mad that no one remodeled it because I drive past it all the time. I'm like, damn, it'd be cool to see like a movie there or something.
But of course, the old Mahia Theater is still there, still got the same marquee and everything. But it's a Mexican.
Yeah,
It's a
but
Mexican. It's a Mexican church.
you remember how cool the Starplex Galaxy 16 used to look with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
flashing? I try to explain that to somebody. I'm like, God damn, that AMC, it's ugly. It is plain. It's ugly. The box off. No one works the box office anymore.
And that's another thing is there used to be a marquee that had all the titles of the movie on the
Yeah, and it had
marquee.
like the flashing lights, and then like when the movie started, it was like Starplex, and it was like a spaceship or something, and
Yeah, yeah.
but now it's like everything's the same. It's like a fast food chain or something. Everything's the same. It looks the same.
And in Waco, do you
Uh,
remember the Showman?
was that the Dollar Theater?
No, the Showman wasn't a dollar theater. I'm trying to think where it was off. It was
Oh,
off
was it the
Waco
one by the
Drive.
mall? Was it by Richland Mall?
No, Richland
By
Mall
yeah,
had, back in the day, Richland Mall had a theater inside the mall, and then they had a theater
no, there
outside.
was there. Yeah, the one I went to. I remember when I was a real little, it got tore down. I remember me and my cousin saw the Scorpion King there, I think, and then it got tore down.
That's my favorite comedy is Raising Arizona, and as that theater outside is where I saw Raising Arizona. And remember those real steep, them damn steps were so steep at that one outside. Uh,
I barely remember that one. That's just one of those ones to where I think like that's the only thing I remember is we saw the Scorpion King there, and I think maybe Castaway. My mom would just take me to movies that she wanted to see. Like I was a little kid in American Pie too, and she'd be like, "Just go out in the hallway, come back." And then we saw the others when I was a little kid in that one scene. it's because nowadays people would judge you, but back then, like the audience made fun of me because, you know, the scene where it's like, I am your daughter or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Where she pulls the, and it's like a scary face or something. They made fun of it in Scary Movie 3 with Michael Jackson. To where like she's like, "Are you okay? Where's my daughter?" And it's like a scary face. Anyways, I screamed and shit, and but yeah, I got drugged to all that shit when I was real little. But I was a good kid. I didn't run up and down the aisles. I didn't scream and cry. Like someone brought their baby to that A24 movie that me and Lewis saw. Which, god dang, what's the name of it? Bring Her Back. Yeah, Bring Her Back. I think it was. And like, why would you bring your kid? And they gave the kid a tablet, and kind of like you could see it light up. Like, and they were at the very front of the movie, so you could see it like light up, and it was just like,
I think I saw the TV Glow as an A24 movie, so I pretty much like all those A24
yeah.
movies.
But that just pisses me off when people bring like, see, I was a good kid. Like, I kept quiet. I didn't scream and shit, or I did when I got scared. But like, it was crazy. And then it's like if you're gonna have your kid play Angry Birds or whatever, can they just like be in the lobby or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you had that problem whenever you went to the movies with people bringing their kids and shit, and they're like screaming and
Well,
crying?
what I remember about that, it would be like a movie like Home Alone or something like that. Some movie that would mainly cater to kids. Is when they'd have a bunch of damn screaming kids in there.
No, I've seen movies like there was one that was The Devil Inside, which is a shitty movie. But like, why would you bring your toddler to The Devil Inside? Like, what? Hey, yeah, of course they're gonna be freaked out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But kids are pussies now. Like me and my cousin, we kept our mouths shut, and we didn't cause no problem. That could be a whole movie. That could be a whole episode. Is bad movie experiences with audience members.
I would just have to think because I haven't had a whole lot that
Oh
I can
God, I had a
remember.
bunch of them.
Yeah.
I
Um,
had a bunch of them.
uh,
I guess I just had bad luck, but like for some reason, like there's a movie theater in Cleburne. I think it's a Cinemark too. And dude, that's like one of the most like white trash like people I had bad interactions with. To where like I'm trying to watch a movie and they're over there like spitting their dips in their bottles. Like it's like, gosh, shut the fuck up! I'm trying to watch this movie, but you don't want to say nothing because if you say nothing, these freaking hillbillies are gonna like kill me or something. I don't know.
well, I'm going to wind down here, but I tell you, as far as any movie that I'm looking forward to seeing, that I would love to see in a theater,
Hmm.
probably won't be able to, and that's the new Superman movie. Um, I guess because that
I didn't even
first
know there
Chris,
was one.
yeah, what's the new what James Gunn directed. Um, and I really like the trailer. Was it the dog Crypto was in it? Uh, and it looks like it harkens back to the fun Superman, like Christopher Reeve, the early Superman movies. That it's that kind of Superman, where they turned Superman basically into Batman lately, where he's brooding and he's depressed and he's like, "This isn't
Yeah,
Superman."
I
Yeah,
like the ones with I think it was Richard Pryor was in them. It was like the real old ones. Those are the ones.
I
That's the
remember
kind
seeing
of,
that's Superman 3, I think, with Richard Pryor. Um,
but that's the kind of ones I liked, where it's kind of more like kind of fun and upbeat instead of everything has to be so grimy and depressing.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, the new Superman is that kind of Superman. Looks to me is more fun and crypto. The
Have,
dog with a cape, red
have
cape.
you seen? I've seen the trailer for the new Fantastic Four, and usually I'm not a superhero guy, but it seems like they're kind of maybe going that route with the genre because that kind of feels like a kind of
I watched that. I had fun with those earlier Fantastic. I don't love them, but I had fun with those Fantastic
but
Four
it seems
movies.
like they're going more to like a cheesy, almost
But
like
it's like, say it. It's clobbering time. Oh, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Go and say it. It's clobbering time. uh, and that was fun. I was like, okay, that's something I might have fun with this. That they're getting more sort of having more fun with it, you know.
Because
And
see, I like Batman, the Punisher, and the Crow being brooding and dark and grimy. I'm okay with that, but like, why does like Superman have to? Because I think was it Man of Steel? I think that was the last one I
oh
watched,
god,
and I'm
man,
like,
Superman versus Batman was it's just so basically Superman is just Batman. The way he acts is he acts like Batman. You know, he's dark and brooding and depressed, and you know,
I
and
wish that they would. I wish they would do a new Dark Man because I keep telling people my favorite superheroes. I'm like, man, Dark Man was awesome, and they're like, who the hell's that? And I have to explain to them who Dark Man is.
Sam Raimi.
Yeah, they're like, "What's Dark Man?" And apparently, I guess that's why those movies. I guess I don't know. Did they do well? Because weren't the other ones straight to video or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. I think I don't even think I've seen the sequels. I just saw that first one. Um, but okay, I guess I'm going to wind down here. Once again, thank you, Brandon. Of course, thank you everybody that is tuned in. The only person that spoke up is Kathy. But hey, Kathy, thank you for chiming in.
Sarah, Sarah, the
Says,
videos. I mean, damn, I have Jehovah Witnesses knock at my door in the heat, sweating on bicycles, to deliver their message. All I have to do is just send it. Just click
but
a button.
yeah, please help us get the views, and please hit that thumbs up. That's one of the main things I want you guys to do. That if you're watching this, and if you're at all enjoying what you're watching, please hit that thumbs up.
Because I mean, you want like to me, YouTube is supposed to be like smaller channels like this, and now YouTube is almost like I don't know. It's all out of mainstream kind of stuff.
Well,
Like,
there's stuff I like. I like Cody Leach's stuff.
yeah, I do
You know,
too. But it's just
and I
it's
like
hard.
who's that guy that does freaking reviews. I like his stuff. A guy he's
Drum Dums. Have
huh?
you you know who Drum Dums is?
I've heard of it.
You know, if you go on Amazon Prime and you type in Dawn of the Dead 1978, they took the thumbnail from his review and they used that as a thumbnail for the movie.
Uh, so there's stuff that gets a lot of views. It gets like 100,000 views. I enjoy a lot of those things, but
Hmm.
if you're enjoying this little no account show that I'm running here, uh, please hit the thumbs up and please share it, spread the word, let folks know about it. If you're enjoying it,
Yeah, spread the message. Like I
spread
said,
it.
like
There you go. Spread the message.
you think I'm joking. I mean, them Jehovah Witnesses on their bicycles sweating in like 100-degree heat just to tell people shit. All you have to do is click a button.
Uh, and you guys have a great 4th of July. I hope you shoot off fireworks and eat food and have fun together and play music or whatever you do for the 4th of July. I'm just going to sit here at home by myself.
I'm gonna, I'm just gonna chill. If I don't have to, if they don't call me into work tomorrow, I'm gonna chill and relax and just be American and hate on British people. Like when I went to the wrestling in Waco, there was a British man, and dude, we're like deport him, send him back to Britain, and he got all mad, and we're like, and my friend, but he took it too far. He's like, send him back to Miskins.
Okay, guys, thank you so much. We will see you soon. We'll be thinking about what our next show is going to be. I want to do a show with Kathy here pretty soon. I talked to her, so hopefully we'll do a midday show with Kathy
since
here and
since
see.
we did that separating the art from the artist, it'd be good to get her opinions on the P Diddy things. Kind of tie into the older episode.
She's paying all kinds of attention to that. I haven't been, except for just for
I have too. I get hooked on that stuff. Like when the Casey Anthony trial happened, every day when I get home from school, I turn on HLN and be like, I got to find out what happened.
And the big beautiful bill has been passed. So
You know, one thing I learned though, and I don't know about your part of Texas, but if you criticize Trump, it's almost like you talked bad about somebody's mother or
well,
something. Like
that
they
and
get
that's
so
something that
crazy.
I still want to end this, but you bringing that up all my whole life. I was born in '65, so I remember I remember LBJ. I remember Nixon. I remember, both of the George Bushes and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Nobody ever cared what I thought about the president. Nobody. I don't care if I didn't like whoever it was.
I got kicked out of people's houses over shit
I can
over
say
Trump.
it until Donald fucking Trump. And if you say a word against Donald Trump, particularly in Texas, your life could be in jeopardy.
No, literally, I had a family member get in my face and like cuss me out. I was like, "Get the fuck out!" I was like, "Damn, okay, shit." And what I said wasn't
Because
even
of
that bad.
Donald Trump. What in the world has happened to this country that turns 250 years tomorrow? What in the world has happened to this country
Why
where
do
we
all
can't
these
even voice our opinion about the fucking president?
and why do all these rednecks that are low income, living paycheck to paycheck, thank the rich billionaires for them? Like, I don't. It makes no fucking sense.
That's another thing is that I know people that are living like in campers, living in fifth wheel campers. And how dare you say something against Donald Trump? He's a fucking billionaire, and and this part of his big, beautiful bill is tax cuts for billionaires. But how dare you say something against Donald Trump? Okay,
You
I'm
know,
sorry. I'm
yeah, I
sorry.
know. I just had to bring that up because I wondered if it was just me, but I
Well,
literally
see,
thought I was gonna.
you got me started, but
No, because I literally thought I was gonna get beat up. Like, there's been situations where I'm like, is this person gonna try to like beat me up for what I said?
well, you
Type
take
shit.
that, you take September 6th, and you take everything that is going on. That no one ever cared what I thought about any president ever until Donald J. Trump. Okay, guys, y'all have a great one. Y'all have a great 4th of July.
Oh God, ICE is breaking down on my door. They're gonna take me away now.
Well, hopefully that's not going to happen. Bye bye, y'all. See
Bye.
you guys. See you guys soon.